guys, the 31 Vision podcast. I'm here with a dear friend of mine since high school. I'm excited to have our first baseball appearance, our first baseball guest. So any baseball parents out there, I hope you find it as useful and educational as I did. So welcome, man. Why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up, Lou? I'm grateful for this opportunity. Be on 31 Vision. I've known Lulu since I think we were 11, 12 years old. Long time, went to high school together. Seen his growth, seen his vision just grow and grow, and the support he gets. It's awesome to watch, and seeing him do this podcast, man. I've been talking to Lulu for a little while, trying to set this up, and I was excited and waiting for the opportunity just to get this going.
I'm glad we lined it up, bro, because we've been at it since I decided with Jason to do the podcast. You were one of the first people I text for baseball. I was like, hey, I got this going on. You know, whenever you want to do it, bro. Like, our doors are open.
And we've come up, kind of the same in different sports, just always having to work. And remember the days at Tropical, we would be there at 7 a.m. just to do sprints, just to try to get faster and learn any little thing I could from you. Yep. And add it to my game, and it's been a great journey, honestly.
Awesome, bro. So why don't we start from the beginning, man? So I've brought a lot of guests in here that play different sports, and most of us are Hispanic. So when I ask them this question, you're like, what was your first sport? Most of us are like, well, my Hispanic mom or dad put me in baseball. So what sport did you start with?
So usually, us Hispanics, we love baseball, every different culture. I'm Cuban, I grew up in a Cuban household, and they loved baseball. So I've been playing baseball since I was 3 years old.
Nice.
T-ball.
Nice.
Miami Park.
And you never looked back, huh?
Nah. And for me, that was the best decision my parents did, was put me in baseball, because I grew a love for the game that I still haven't lost it. I'm still in the mix of it. I'm still there. I'm not playing no more, but the love is still there.
Yeah, it's a huge part of your life.
Oh, yeah, man. And it feels like, it's not even a job because how much I love it. It does become overwhelming at times, but it's only
because you care, though.
Yeah, it's because I care. And to me, it's the best sport, out of all the sports, because I've just been playing it so long.
Nice. So started off at T-ball at 3 years old. Yeah. I know that some coaches have this philosophy, whether it's youth or older, that they don't believe in baseball players playing other sports. So how do you feel about that topic?
That's a sensitive topic in the baseball community, because a lot of colleges are feeding, to the parents that, yes, you have to be a multi-sport athlete. And I do agree with that. But it becomes a point that you got some of these kids, even here in Miami, that are playing this every day. And I get it. It does open up movements that you take advantage of it. But I think it's certain sports you should be picking. It shouldn't just be a volume of other sports. Like, I do like basketball and I do like football. Basketball kind of falls in between, baseball season and football season. So basketball, it becomes a problem, especially for these high-level youth kids that travel the country. You miss
it can conflict.
3 months, 4 months, you're behind the ball now.
Yeah.
And it's just the truth of it. They don't want to say that. They want to say, keep working. And I get it. You do have to keep working. But that's the truth of it, honestly.
Yeah, because I have seen some high school coaches, and I'm sure you've seen at every level, that some coaches prefer for you not to play. They only want you to exclusively play baseball.
Yeah. And I don't like that either. To me, the plan, and I'm talking about this now, and really this is something I just think about and I've planned. You need to do track and field. Track and field in baseball is not utilized enough, because speed becomes an issue, especially at the college level. We're not even talking about pros. You want to play a certain level, especially in baseball, the way it's going. If you don't have foot speed, you're not on that diamond.
Yeah.
So track and field to me is big. Football, I've seen a lot of two ways in baseball, like transfer, but it's hard because sometimes they develop in football and they just leave baseball alone, or they develop in baseball and they leave football alone. So I haven't seen it mesh the way it's supposed to, like a Deion Sanders. You see,
right.
You see Deion Sanders, that's a special athlete.
A Bo Jackson.
Yeah, but it's very hard to see that. Yeah. And that's the truth of it. You're playing with the 1%, the 2%. So to me, yes, you do. smartly. And, to me is you have to have the education, the knowledge. If you're going to do it like that, you have to be hitting, on your own, separating, like building.
Technical work.
Yeah, technical work in the aspect of, okay, this is my quote unquote off season for baseball because I'm either getting stronger, I'm getting faster,
right,
or I'm opening up movements that a lot of these baseball kids, it does happen too. They get stuck with certain movements. They have great skill, but then their foot speed's off. Their movement patterns become off. So
question. So if 'cause I know this is all relative to the athlete, the position, like you're saying. So let's say hypothetical athlete A is prioritizing baseball, does the technical work and understands that like baseball is the priority, but this is just to help me with baseball.
Exactly.
That's more along the lines of what you're saying.
That's how baseball players think.
Gotcha.
That's how the parents, the younger generation don't understand because I've been doing this so long.
Yeah.
I'm young in the game, but at the same time, my dad had an academy for many years. My brother played for many years. We know a bunch of college, professional baseball players that are there right now. And those guys were playing year round.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they try to falsify it because people are trying to sell something or a development program and stuff like that. If you get the truth of it and you emphasize, okay, baseball players need to emphasize more on speed and explosiveness, which I think football always has an edge on us because they're always faster, stronger.
It's a requirement, yeah.
But if you could take that athleticism and translate it with baseball, you got a monster.
Yeah. I gotcha. So as long as you, let's say if schedules conflict, as long as you prioritize baseball, if schedules conflict with another sport, and as long as you train a smart way where you prioritize the technical work on your off time for baseball, you're okay with them playing another sport.
Yes, 100%.
Gotcha. So that's like the happy median?
It's a happy medium. And then really the fall from August, which August is a break, but for September to like almost winter break, December, that's the fall for high school. That's the fall for college. That's almost the fall for professional because not everybody makes it to the playoffs. So they're already in their off season. So you use those 4 months as your development period. If you're smart, you're not playing as many tournaments. Now the spring comes. That's the spring for baseball. It goes from January all the way to July.
So would your answer change? Because I know we can get really into this.
Yeah, for sure.
So would your answer change according to position as well? In baseball?
Yeah, 100%, but the development period, I think for me never changed because I knew that high school, college, and professionals, that was their off season because I played it. So I knew my window.
Yeah.
The summer you have a window, but it's so hard because he would go to the college kids, getting recruited. They're all trying to get recruited. So they're playing these major tournaments that are a week long, maybe 5 or 6. That's almost the whole summer.
Yeah.
So what period do you have to grow? Because these colleges really can't see you during the spring season. They're playing. So the only guys that can see you are whoever's in your backyard, FIU, FAU maybe comes down to Miami. So you're playing a numbers game and usually, or these top D1s already committing these kids as freshmen.
Yeah.
So they're done already.
So another question. I love this.
It's crazy, honestly.
So if you're a middle school or beginning of high school player, what would your advice be if they might be behind a little bit in the developmental stage? Would you say take that summer off to get with your technical work, or would you say just keep playing to get noticed and just see where the chips fall?
If you're right there, especially 7th grade going to 8th grade or 8th grade going to 9th grade, get in the weight room. This was fawned upon when I was growing up.
Yeah.
It was like play 100 games. Once we got to high school, it was like you're in 8th grade, it's going to stop your growth.
Oh man, that's a big myth that we've spoken about right here. Yeah.
So that was the myth growing up. But these kids are already lifting. They're getting the right movements in elementary, not lifting, but the
body weight movements.
Exactly, body weight movements. But once you get to that 7th grade, 8th grade, that's like 13, 14, 15. You got to get in the weight room. Yeah. That is the key. And that's why I compare football to baseball. And I wish more baseball players were as athletic as the football guys. And it hasn't combined yet, at least in this city yet.
Yeah, that's why you're a head coach, and you're gonna combine that and make a little hybrid program.
Yeah, 100%.
So something that I'll see what you think about it. So we went to the same high school, we went to South Miami, and something that I specifically think that we lacked is our strength and conditioning aspect of football. We had talent, but like you said, the developmental part of our game never developed because we had the same workouts every week, no supervision, nothing to critique form or nothing like that. How was it for baseball in high school for you guys?
You know, I don't want to talk bad about Alex Hernandez because I have so much respect for Alex. You know, the people I met in South Miami, you know,
you guys were loaded, man. You guys were studs.
We had a great team. We won GMACs. You know, we came in as these young pups, you know, playing very early and varsity as freshmen, sophomores, won GMACs as sophomores.
Yep.
You know, we got ranked in the state as juniors. You know, to me, Alex didn't have the resources for, you know, our weight room was bad.
Yeah, raggedy, bro. That's
it
public
was
school
little,
for you.
You know, and, you know, it's the public school things that we go through.
Yep.
You know, and I was lucky enough to be surrounded by great ball players that had the same vision of playing college baseball. So, you know, we wake up in the morning, 6 a.m. before school to go lift. You know, we took advantage of the outside things more. And that's why I feel grew me as a coach now going into high school, that I already have the game plan and we don't have to leave from our area. We don't have to leave from that circle. Yeah. You know, we were lucky enough to have talent that at times it didn't affect us. Yeah. But it did in the long run because you want to make deep runs. You want to create that team bond, which I think we had a great team bond, but we never made that deeper run that we should because of, you know, physicality sometimes. You know, bodies get tired during the season. It's just a lot. And, you know, we went through a lot in South Miami. And I just think, you know, being able to come out of South Miami, we're prepared for any, I think, situation when it comes to this sports side of it. Because to me, we had nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
Seriously.
It's like, you know, we would share the outfield with soccer, share the outfield with football. We couldn't even touch that field, you know. Yep. And then you got some of these private schools that got turf field, got
like their private for them.
Exactly. That are just for them. So that's kind of a little bit touching that.
For sure. Resources is a big factor that parents don't understand about unless you go physically to the practices, which is practices are at an odd time because it's right after school. So a lot of parents just watch games.
You can't make it.
They don't see the practice and the culture that goes into preparing for games or a season. And touching back on the strength and conditioning aspect of sports, baseball, football, anything, a big misconception that athletes have about strength and conditioning, hence the word, like, yes, it's to get you stronger. It's to get you in shape. But besides that, longevity. Oh, yeah. Like you said, like to make deep runs, like your wear and tear is inevitable. Exactly. It's not if, it's a matter of when. Right. So imagine like you have a graph. Oh, sorry. You imagine if you have a graph, right? And your performance is like here, week 1, right? And then as your performance, as the weeks progress in that graph and the season gets deeper, it's not going to be a huge dip, but it might be a gradual dip. You know what I'm saying? And if you want that dip to be as little and as subtle as possible, your preparation before the season enhances that.
100%. And you don't see it as much in high school because the season is only 23 games, 24 games in baseball, at least. Yeah. But I would lose 10 pounds in a season like that. Yeah. So we had nothing to maintain ourselves, you know, and it comes down to resource. But at the end of the day, feeding this information might spark something to these schools, you know, to these other coaches. Because at the end of the day, I'm a development coach. Yes, I'm going to be the head coach of SouthRidge, but people in this community know me as a development coach for the youth, the high school, college, pro, whatever situation. And we develop a lot of homegrown guys. So, you know, not to go sidetrack on that, but
no, you can get into it. Don't worry.
It's very, our resources, and it happened to me in college. So we got into college. Now I start moving into college. I'm playing 60 games guaranteed. So, you know,
like triples.
That's tripling to what we're used to. And now I'm getting into it. I'm in the weight room every day just because I wanted to be better. Yeah. I might have not been doing the right thing, Lou, but, you know, I was moving in that direction. I'm going to learn on basically almost on my own what works and what doesn't work. Yeah. So I was trial run with myself.
Yeah.
Going through college and understanding how physically in shape you have to be to survive these long seasons.
And
man.
another factor that I'm glad you mentioned that is you're on your own.
Yeah.
Right. So going back to the resources thing, if you don't have the guidance to, because sometimes what kids don't understand, not kids, like high school athletes don't understand is sometimes you're getting in your own way.
Yeah.
So there's such a
100%.
thing as overtraining.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's a matter of input output, but sometimes people take that a little too black and white.
Yeah.
And they think the more I input, the more I get on the output area. But our bodies can only take so much. So overtraining I was overtraining in high school and I didn't know it.
Yeah. And I was too. I was in the same thing. I was like, why isn't my body developing the way I wanted to?
Yep.
Because I was overtraining and my body was just dragging at that point. Yep. And it was developing bad habits, bad movements.
And it's a cycle because you think that because your body isn't developing or you feel worse, you think you need to train more.
Exactly.
And it's like a vicious circle. And if you don't know, you're just in it, repeating it.
And that's what I learned through my college years. And it was a big thing, even to the school situation. You know, me getting recruited out of high school, you know, the tutoring, I heard you talk about it too, the school work about it. I became a better student in college. Just having a little bit of help, a little more guidance. And I became a 3.0 GPA. And I was getting recruited out of high school to play some D1 baseball, some solid D1 baseball. And there was so much, you know, I don't want to call it craziness in high school. You know, we get in the way of ourselves
for sure
for too much. And I missed the window.
Yeah. Same.
And I feel like I heard that story over and over again. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, the media, social media, doing this, feeding this information, we're helping our community like tremendously.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's respectable and that's, you know, something this community needs to come together, because in the baseball community, everybody's at battle, at war. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's about the kids.
Yeah. Football's no different, man. People are very cutthroat with that. For sure.
Football's even harder.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's even harder. So
yeah,
that's just a little touch on that for sure.
And to piggyback off that as well, there's plenty for everyone to eat, right? So if the information is more free flowing, I've learned a lot from starting this podcast from other people about eligibility rules, transfer rules, things that you need to get into. So now when an athlete asks me a question, I'm more well-versed in it because this topic is open and people understand what I'm trying to do. Exactly. So people knowing what you want or are trying to do is half the battle. So speaking up about your intentions, I think it's half the battle, because people are scared to say like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or people and they'll give you false advice or not false advice, but they think they're giving you their best answer, but you can be dead ass wrong.
You know what I mean? You can be completely off, you know? And this is years of work, years of knowledge. When we started this, you know, from 3 years old all the way till I finished playing college ball, and I kept going with my dad, built an academy that was up to 27 teams of just kids from 6 to 13 years old. Is like almost unheard of. So I've been able to see the cycle 3 times, honestly. Because my brother's class, you know my brother, and they're 21, 22 right now, and they're getting out of college. So that's another cycle. So those are my windows of information to kind of like, we're ahead of the game right now, right? You know, as young coaches.
And going back to the information exchanging and stuff, guys, I can't emphasize this enough. You don't have to go through life with only trial and error. Yeah. Like the reason why this podcast exists, the reason why coaches like Mo come on here is so you don't have to go through trial and error. So you can learn from our mistakes, and you can also emulate the good habits that we had going forward. You know, like so far, like what's a good thing you can get from this? Understanding that don't wait till your senior year for recruiting opportunities and visiting schools and all that. And what else? Do not overtrain. If you don't know how to program your workouts, even if you don't have access to a trainer, understand that you can reach out to people like myself, like Mo, or understand that if you're playing multiple sports, how much is too much? Yeah. You know? So I think that's a really big factor. Just knowing, asking.
Just asking and knowing. And there's so much into this now with, social media, and there's a lot of false information getting put out there.
Don't get me started on this topic.
You know, there's, and we see it in the baseball community. They're trying to reinvent the wheel, and there's good out of this new technology. There's good
Mhm.
information, but at the same time, sometimes it's just a sell. It's just too much, or you're giving that kid some bad habits.
Let's get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
So if there are parents watching, baseball parents, what are a couple things that you've seen that the reinvent the wheel example? Like what would be
So-
something to look out for?
So
Or
the first thing is the swing. You know,
Okay.
the swing people are thinking, you know, home run right now because that's what sells in baseball is the home run. The home run sells, so everybody's looking to lift the ball and create the swing that they could get that natural trajectory to go. But at the same time, they're doing too much because now the strikeouts are going high,
Mm.
the on base percentage is low. Now the team value is on the floor right now.
Mm. So sometimes making contact is better than just going for the fences.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes you're feeding a guy on the mound that's a D1 commit that's nasty.
Mhm.
You're not going deep on that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Be happy to make contact.
Be happy to make contact and bring that RBI and change your approach
Yeah.
to get there. You know, and you know, I just me thinking about this is because my dad had a guy since he was 3 years old. The kid gets drafted at 21 years old in the first round.
Wow.
$4.5 million. I don't know exactly, but a high number.
Yeah.
And, his journey, and he's in the big leagues at 22.
Yeah.
He hasn't even spent half a season in the minor leagues. He's already in the big leagues. It's unheard of.
Which is huge because usually they put
Huge.
you on the leagues below, right?
Yeah,
in
the
minors.
minor leagues, they start you in rookie ball, single A, double A, and they might even throw you in triple A just to get you with those vets to see how you react.
And let's say someone is trying to go pro, like what are the timetables? It's like one season per letter, or just relative to the
When they're
player?
in pro ball?
Yeah.
Okay, so when they're in pro ball, they have a window. They have a 3-year, 5-year window, and that's all you really get. Like
Wow.
the maximize, some guys get stuck there for years, and
Okay.
you might have one of those stories that they make it,
Yeah.
but it's very rare. It's
Yeah.
very rare. And while I was telling you about the making adjustments and why you have to understand your body, understand the movements, is because this guy has like 5 different swings.
Yeah.
So if he's struggling, he starts playing with the adjustments. And the reason he's in the big leagues is because he made adjustments. You good? So he made adjustments really fast. And he started raking in double A.
Yeah.
They said, 22-year-old, we're going to take this chance on this kid and let's bring him up. And in the beginning, he had to make adjustments.
Yeah.
It's not easy in the major leagues. That's like, it's hard. The percentages that you're failing in the major leagues at right now in this game, it's basically become very slim, man. So, adjustments is part of the game.
Would you say it's like football? It's like 1%ers make it to the major leagues kind of thing, or
Yeah, it's the 1%ers.
Yeah.
It's the 1%. He's 30 major league teams. He's a shortstop, so he's 30 of the best in the whole world.
right?
So there's only 30. You know how many people play baseball?
Right.
Millions of people. So the percentage is very low, and that's a guy that, just to tell you this story, because I believe this story belongs on this podcast, because that's a guy that got cut from Doral as a 9th grader.
Wow.
Okay. He goes to Cole Park and gets the opportunity to play. They give him the opportunity. Senior year, he starts, you could see it. His frame, his bat, his swing. Goes to a mid-major school in Campbell University in
I know in North Carolina, right?
North Carolina.
I know Campbell. Yeah.
Very small. It's now become a big program
Yeah.
because of obviously the work that he put in there and the
Mhm.
amount of publicity. But we're talking about a kid that didn't even get recruited by UM.
No, not a big name at all.
Got cut from Doral, and this guy goes to Campbell and as a freshman doesn't even play much. Comes back home and says, no, I'm not playing summer ball, maybe playing local summer ball, and I'm training. I'm getting ready to go back.
Going back to what we spoke about.
Getting back to where we go. So the guy goes back as a sophomore, and he's not even playing in the beginning of the year. He's more of a pitcher role. A kid gets hurt, he gets the opportunity to start. He
Kills
hits like 4 doubles, he kills it, he stays in the lineup. That year, he ends up hitting 420, and then to hit D1, to hit 420
Wow.
with at least double-digit bombs.
Wow.
You know, they make it to a regional, they lose to Mississippi State. Mississippi State ends up going to Omaha. But for that little school to make it to that point was unheard of.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing his journey, I'm seeing his development. I'm saying he still has that mindset when he was young, you know, of that grit that, you know, my dad's teams instilled into those players. And he kept on that grit, He goes, plays in the best summer league called Cape Cod. They win the championship. He goes off. Now he's becoming, in the scout's eyes, a first-round pick.
And this is going to his junior year.
Going into
still has 2 seasons left.
It still has 2 seasons, but in baseball, junior year is your draft year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
D1 baseball.
Okay.
JUCO, you could get drafted any year.
Okay.
Same thing with D2 and NIA. I think it's your 3rd year. I'm not 100%, but I know D1, you have to wait till your junior year or your 21 because some of these guys reclass.
Right.
So they get the eligibility a little bit earlier. And he gets there to his junior year, you know, with all the eyes on him and, you know, the pressure, and he was built for it already. And he hits more than he did his sophomore year.
Oof.
So he went from projected late first round to number 13 overall to the Los Angeles Angels.
Wow. Goosebumps, man. Yeah, that's amazing.
It was a crazy story. And I've known this guy, play with his brother. You know, I've known him since he's basically born, you know, this guy, and to see his journey of the quote unquote struggle, you know, the grind of baseball, and to be in the big leagues with Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, the 2 best players in Major League Baseball, guiding him right now.
And that also goes back to what you said, man, like having the proper system in place. Some people call it a farm system.
Yeah.
Because you guys developed him since he was legit. Like, so instilling those principles, how many athletes would have just stopped and gotten discouraged after the 9th grade, gone to a different sport? Or how many athletes, when he came back and didn't play much and went back home and just would have effed off the whole summer? But he went back to the lab.
He went back to the lab.
You know, that's I agree with you. That's a story worth telling, man.
Yeah, that's a story that I think a lot of the viewers need to see, you know, and hear, and you're going to follow his journey now as he becomes a superstar. But, you know, never let nobody tell you can't do something. There's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of haters, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of everything. If you have a vision for yourself, take that vision and use information to add as a tool for that vision. And that's where I think we're so successful at what we do, is because we have so much information to give to these kids that it's not false. So when they see the result, they trust you even more.
Yep.
So that's where you build that relationship as a coach and player to take it to another level, and you give them the plan, bro. And sometimes I've seen guys that started playing baseball at 12 years old, and just with the farm system, the system of my dad that he created, that he started the blueprint, and they're playing high school baseball and they're going to college and they had a little window. To me, it's like, that's the value of it. That's the value of it.
That's the value of the knowledge you guys are giving, man.
Yeah, that's the value. That's the core of it. A lot of these guys are worried about, you know, touching up about the eligibility for high school athletes now. They got to wait till their junior year for the coach to talk. They just changed that rule now.
Interesting.
So now everything goes through the coach or the advisor, which usually is the agent, you know, but they call it an advisor.
Okay.
They're not allowed to have an agent until you graduate high school. So they use an advisor name as like their guidance through the process of high school.
So would your advisor / agent, that person will be in charge of making decisions for you or bargaining for you as far as going pro or going to college? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Gotcha.
So those advisors, you have to be very careful too. You have to really sit down and make sure it makes sense, because those advisors will spend a lot of money on you. And then once you get drafted, it's almost like coming back in return, which the percentage sometimes is not high, and they invest in you. So there is value in that, but you have to be careful.
Yeah. So what are some ways that you can see a red flag from an advisor that's trying to like shark you, or an advisor is looking out for your best interest? Is it just like what's in writing pretty much? Like look it over?
Yeah, you have to review the
agreement.
What players they've put in the system. What players have they put in college? Their track record. That's the number one thing, because you don't sign an agreement until you graduate. It's like more word of mouth.
Okay, so don't sign anything then.
You're not signing anything. Do not even touch anything.
Okay.
And especially with this new rule change that, well, the biggest recruiting service for travel ball is called Perfect Game Baseball. It's like the biggest tournament. They're all over the country. And they're getting, you know, this is very like into, they're getting kids committed at 8th grade and they're going live.
Wow.
So these guys are going live 8th grade. They haven't even stepped into a high school building. They haven't had a GPA yet. They haven't even seen them mature as a person,
Right.
as a man, you know, or a young man, young woman, you know, in any of these sports. And, you know, it's crazy, you know, and they were selling these kids, and Instagram becomes a big factor now. And like, how can you package yourself up to the world? So the NIL deal now,
Yep. Big
the
factor.
draft, the exposure they're getting to that team. They like that exposure more. It sells more, whatever that brings with that
Yeah,
attraction.
like, are
of
you
the following.
marketable?
Yeah, are you marketable? So Perfect Game took the marketable and they started doing at 8th grade. And I wouldn't be surprised they would have started at 7th grade, which to me, it was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, good for the kids. I love the exposure for the kids. I think they deserve everything. And NIL deals, I think we're just scratching the surface of it right now.
Yeah, it's only the beginning.
It's only the beginning, because just going to what I think, you know, the Triple B's, LeVar Ball, and what he did with his 3 sons was just an opening eyes to what you really could do for yourself.
Yep.
And I think
Cutting out the middleman.
cutting out the middleman and becoming the man, and, you know, getting that revenue to yourself, whether you lose a couple million or a couple hundred, the value of that is forever.
Yeah.
It's forever. And I think people use people, you know, and they take advantage of them.
So if an athlete is watching, don't sign anything
Yep.
until you get out of high school,
Yep.
and then check the advisor's or agent's track record.
Yeah, big time. Check his track record. There's a few guys here in baseball that I'm sure, you know, are well known, and, you know, check their track record before you make that decision. And you got time. You know, I think the best advice you could get is from your parents.
Yeah.
Because I feel at the end of the day, they care about you the most. You're their kid. Yeah, sometimes they might be misguided in information, but when it comes to a life choice and a life decision, those are the people you have to have next to you.
Yeah, it's your circle.
Yeah, that's your circle.
So we haven't talked about you much, man,
Yeah.
and your game and stuff. So what position did you play? Let's talk a little bit about the ups and downs of high
Yeah.
school leading to college.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of ups and downs. You know, for me to be in this game still, you know, there's been a lot of downs and there's been a lot of ups. But you know, I played since I was 3 years old out of Tamiami Park. You know, grew up there, very rich, heavy baseball community that comes out of Tamiami Park. You know, I grew up playing travel ball my whole life. You know, my dad was a head coach of the team, so I was basically around baseball. It's basically I could walk. And, you know, then we made a decision, you know, going to high school. You know, a lot of my friends like Rolly, you know, Jesse, Flacco,
Studs.
you know, guys that we got together and we ended up picking a high school almost together, you know, and, you know, we took that decision because we knew at South Miami, this is honest truth, is we knew we were going to get an opportunity to play as a group. And not a lot of these schools give you that opportunity, you know, and we took advantage of it and we showed what type of players we were because we were winning very early.
Yeah, you guys were all difference makers.
Yeah, we all did we had roles, you know, and we knew who were the go-to guys, you know, we knew, you know, we needed a big shot. Rolly was coming up, ready to come, you know.
Smacking balls to the portables.
Portables, you know, playing pepper with the portables. It's like, you know, it was incredible to watch, you know, at a young age he was doing that. And, you know, just leaders like Jesse and Flacco that was just, you know, I was a catalyst, you know, to whatever they were doing and they knew they could rely on me for whatever. So, you know, we had a journey in high school, you know, and the journey was more like we had a lot of success freshman and sophomore year. And when you have a lot of success as those young kids, you know, you start getting overconfident.
Let off the gas pedal a little bit.
We left, you know, overconfident. I think the gas pedal was there because we wanted to go to college.
Okay.
So we always had that vision of training hard and stuff like that. But as a group and as that hunger to beat these schools, you know, we were young, we were hungry, we wanted to win, you know. We go in junior year, like we beat everybody already. We cleaned house, like, you know, we're like, we're okay. What's left? Then, you know, it gets a little more complicated because we end up losing like 8 games in a row to start the year.
Oof. And that was what, junior year?
That was our junior year.
That's a wake-up call.
That was a wake-up call and a half.
Ego checked.
We got checked real quick. We're like, we knew who we were as ball players, but we got checked. And we ended up winning. I don't know what happened. Alex threw a little special sauce and we won 13 games in a row. We figured it out, and we win GMSC's our sophomore year. We're number 1 in the district. We make a regional run. We lose in regionals. So then we get into junior year, we start getting hot. We're like, oh, we're going to make a run. This is it. We get to Ferguson. We play at Ferguson. We're winning the game all the way through. They end up hitting a little cheap home run. And, I call it cheap home run because I'm on the other side. But, and they win the game and we get eliminated. And things start opening up. And this is where it gets a little bit more tricky. Now, private schools are calling me. I'm about to transfer. And I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I think the best decision for me my senior year was to transfer to a private school that's smaller and would have took care of me in a different atmosphere.
Different environment, yeah.
I was already, done with, I think, a lot of work that we already did there. And then it comes down to the education part, GPA. You have more emphasis in that. And at the end of the day, that's the value of going to D1 is that. And
connections, resources.
Jesse, he ends up going to Columbus.
Yep,
so we lose our shortstop. Yeah. So we're already hurting. Columbus recruits him. And now we're moving in the direction like what's happening, to our team, our core of our team. It's me, Rolly, and Flacco. And, obviously young guys, nothing against them, but we have been there for 3 years, 2 years already with, the core of what we were. And then I took the test. I was ready to go to Florida Christian. And that was a school, I was supposed to go 2 weeks before I come back to South Miami, and getting into my journey, it held me back a little bit because I was so comfortable at South Miami.
Yep.
I was comfortable. I knew everybody, everybody to me, a lot of people there are family to me no matter what, through this journey that I've been on. I could, we haven't talked in a minute and it feels like we were just hanging out the other day. Yeah. So, I went back to that. Didn't go the way I wanted to. Senior year, we had a rough year. And, then I start getting into the college aspect of it. And I go the JUCO route because my GPA is not there.
Nope. My GPA wasn't there either.
So I go the JUCO route. And, the JUCO route is definitely a great tool because here we're going into the journey. I have to live on my own. I have to go hit on my own. I got to go train on my own. I got to go do.
Fast.
You got to grow up. You have to grow up, which is great. I think everybody needs to experience that, and especially in sports, because I think that prepares you for life. And that's the key.
So where'd you go?
I ended up going to. So I had a couple options. I ended up going to Kirkwood Community College in Iowa.
Okay.
So I went to Kirkwood Community College in Iowa. And when I go to Kirkwood Community College in Iowa, it's the first time I see snow.
Same here. When I was 18. Yeah.
I see snow. We have a blizzard. We're in the apartments for 3 days. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm already getting homesick. I'm like, I need to go home. And I go there and I start 56 out of the 60 games there. And I got a great experience. I ended up hitting 300. Nice. I got moved positions too. I got moved to third. Never played third in my life. I was a second baseman.
That was a curveball.
That was a curveball, but I just wanted to be in the lineup.
Right.
So whatever they were throwing at me, I was like, I'm going to take it and run with it, get that opportunity, and try to move from JUCO to D1.
Of course. Because
D1 was always my vision. But, from going from JUCO to D1, it's hard in baseball because there's only 11.7 scholarships. They got to divide that through a lot of kids. And I know in football, it's a bigger squad. I don't know how that transition from JUCO to D1 works, but in baseball, it's almost like a toss-up to go from JUCO. And I learned that the hard way going from JUCO to JUCO because then I go there for a year. And, the honest truth of it, my attitude wasn't there. I still had that Miami attitude of, I don't want to neutralize it like Miami attitude, but yeah. I still had that. I'm sure you experience it. When you go to a different state, you start feeling different cultures.
Yeah.
You start envisioning different mindsets. You're like, so this bubble that I'm in, this is not what the world thinks either.
Nope.
So that's where I started like, oh wait, this is a shock to me. Like I need to develop as a player and as a person.
Yeah.
Immature,
I had the same growing pains.
Immature, you want to call it, hard guidance, not guidance, because my parents did try to want the best for me, but sometimes they didn't know what I was going through because they were never in that shoes of me being on the road. They lived here their whole life. So that was a wake-up call. I don't go back my second year. I end up going to Dyersburg Community College in Tennessee, another junior college. Great junior college, great baseball in Tennessee with JUCO. And I get another culture shock there too as well, of different baseball, different environment. So I'm moving down from the Midwest down to, South. And then there I played, another full season there. I played 58 out of 60 games there, did great. But it was already getting to the point that...
Did you play your position or did they move you?
They moved me there to short.
Okay.
So now I went from second base to third to short. And I always felt I was a good ball player and I always felt I was a team guy. But I never made that jump because we go back to the training, the athleticism, the foot speed. I had the skill. There's just more value when you're going to make the jump from a D1 or a professional team. There's a lot of jumps there. And that's when the circle gets really small. So when I'm seeing the circle and I'm seeing where I'm at, it's not that I didn't believe in myself, because I worked harder than probably almost all my friends could tell you. I probably was one of the hardest working kids growing up. So hard work to me wasn't shocking. Wasn't an issue for me. So then, my dad starts this academy. I'm like, you know what? I think my calling is a coach. I just think that's where I'm going to grow. And I'm not going to look back. I'm just going to see where it takes me. And it is what it is. I come back home. I'm working little jobs here. I finish the second year. I don't go to an NNIU school. I'm like, I'm going to start with my dad this business. From in 1 year, it just took off. We went from 1 team to 8.
Unheard of, man.
And it's like, oh, there's something in here. Now, that's 1 year. All our guys are juniors going to become seniors in college, like guys like Flacco, and they graduate in 1 more year. They come, now we're at 13. We're like, oh, let me start feeding this. Now I'm feeding this academy, and it becomes a machine. And it got up to 2017s. And my dad had a great run, man.
2017.
Yeah, 2017.
It's amazing.
Not even including high school baseball. This is from 13 years old all the way down to 6 years old.
Wow.
And that's unheard of around the country, because we were probably top 3 biggest organizations in the country, and all of them had high school feeders. We had no high school feeders.
Wow.
So, we get into that thing. My dad had a great run. And then, things move on in the journey. My dad got older, people have kids. I have kids myself. Flacco has kids. He ends up moving, and he's a big part of what we were doing.
Right.
I consider him a brother, and he's doing his own journey as well. And, I kept going on it, and I had to create myself. I had to create my brand. And that's where mobile came. And it came during COVID. And when it happened during COVID, it gave me time to sit and really think of everything I've already have been through and break it down. And like, what are we doing here? Like, where are we going with this? Like, what's going to happen here? And then, sure enough, as I'm creating mobile, I'm having clinics that are doing really well. We're getting feedback where it's just growing on its own. And as I'm in this journey, I get 2 of probably the biggest opportunities in coaching I've ever had, that I think I earned and I deserve because of this whole journey that I'm telling you, that I've gotten to this point working hard. And I worked hard in that academy for a good 7-8 years, grinding.
Earning your stripes, man.
Earning my stripes. And that's one thing I respect about my dad, that he never had it easy just because I was the son and stuff. No, I had to earn it just like anybody else, or probably harder. And that made me a better coach, honestly, 100%. And, as I'm in this process of like, damn, the academy is not there. I'm creating myself. I'm grinding from the bottom up. The San Diego Padres scout team calls me and they're like, hey, I want you to coach our team.
Wow.
It's a 15U team. That's probably one of the best teams in the country. You're dealing with kids. We're probably going to make $1 million in 2 years, you know? So you're dealing with a lot of high level kids. And now it's starting to form. Now the exposure, the real recognition around the country starts coming. And it's like, you know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And then, you know, as I'm in that process as well, SouthRidge gives me a call. And it was like, you know, they did their homework because for them to reach the people that they had to reach to get in contact with me, because I've been a hard guy to get in contact with. It's just been crazy busy. I got 3 little girls now, so it's a lot. And you know, they give me the opportunity and they bring me in, and I'm like, this is where I need to be. You know, this is where I think, you know, where I'm gonna make an impact on kids, especially right now at 31. You know, kind of already been through it. I'm still young. I'm still in tune with the younger generation. And they gave me that opportunity, and I became officially head coach a couple of weeks ago. And it's just been up from there, man. Ridge up.
Amazing, bro. So some people that might not have been following you like I have for years might think your success is out of the blue.
Yeah.
But they don't see the years that you put in. As soon as you got out of school, you hit the ground running.
Yep.
So someone might think, oh, you're coaching the Padres, like that 15U team, just because, you know, oh, you just know someone.
Yeah, just know somebody, or they're just a talented group, and that's why they're winning. But
right.
There's so much more to it.
Yeah, man. And
100%.
I think everything you've accomplished and you're going to accomplish is a testament to your work ethic.
Yeah.
And you didn't let off the gas pedal because you stopped being a player. If anything, you put even more into it because you want that success for your athletes, you know, as bad as they do, you know. And I think those are all traits of an amazing coach, you know. So I think that's a big shout out to you and what you're doing.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, and it's been full circle, honestly, man. Because you know, when my dad did the academy, he was losing a lot of players after 13 to the high school teams. So a lot of these high school guys, you know, nothing against them, because at the end of the day, they're helping these kids move forward. But a lot of these guys were taking credit for the work that we had just put into them.
Yep.
And all they really did at 15 years old was maintain.
Yeah.
Because those kids were working
already there.
They was already there. They're just working, and you're maintaining.
It happens in football too.
And then you're out. And then, so, you know, my dad's journey is different. But me being able to put myself in this position is like a stamp to everything we've done. Now we're going to be put in the position, me with the Padres and being at SouthRidge. Now I'm put in a position to put kids into college professionally. And that's, to me, that's a win more than any W that you could get.
Yeah, you have a direct line to where they want to be, and you can get them there yourself. You don't need help from anyone else.
Exactly.
You know, like you have the tools.
Exactly.
And I think if I'm playing baseball, I want to go to the Ridge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that you know your stuff.
Yeah, and we're getting that traction. Like, people want to go to the Ridge, you know? But then you know, just the meat and potatoes of it, it comes down to the education. So a lot of these parents get misguided with the education. And, you know, the Ridge has a lot to offer, just like any other school. You know, you still got your Columbuses of the world. You still got your Westminsters of the world, and nothing against them. They do great for kids. They have great facilities. But if you're a public school kid, even if you're a private school kid, we have enough to offer you, because I'm bringing everything I'm telling you and I'm molding it into one. You're going to have tutoring. You're going to have, you know, after school weightlifting. You're going to have all the resources and game plans that you're not going to be misguided coming to the Ridge.
And that's worth it in itself right there.
Yeah.
The structure that's set up, coming from someone that didn't have that structure until I got to college and I understood what it was supposed to look like. You know, you don't know until you know. Yeah. As simple as that sounds.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
So what is your takeaway from college? You know, like if a baseball player is in high school right now, do you suggest for them to go to college, try to go pro as soon as you can? Like, what's your standpoint on that?
So to me, I had my own recruiting experience, and a lot of my friends had some big time recruiting experience too. But as a coach, I got to see the other side of it, you know? And sometimes we're so in tune into the game that we don't see the whole picture. And as a coach, for these guys picking a college, you know, I deal with the Padres. So some of these guys are international. Some of these guys are signing at 16 years old. some of these guys already have advisors, like,
Yeah.
that we call them,
Yeah.
but those advisors are walking around these 15-year-old kids. But to me, education, that degree from a university values so much to me. If you have the opportunity to play professional and you're getting some money that's gonna help your family in any situation or help yourself to set your future up, take a look at that.
Right.
100%.
Right.
But not everybody gets that opportunity.
Yeah. It's a small percentage.
It's a very small percentages. And like I just told you about Zach Neto, he had to go the other route to college. So college is not a bad thing. I think college has more resources. As like me and Lulu have been talking, like, we got more out of college than we did out of high school just because of the resources. So take advantage of college, man. High school is only 4 years, and I don't emphasize this more to my younger class, is that take those 4 years and study and get your GPA up, because once you go to college, you're either living on your own, you're moving to another state, or you're just leveling up into a different human being. And I think that's value. And let's go, guys. You guys got to take advantage of everything, man.
Yeah, all your tools. No, that's good advice. So, if you can travel in time and talk to younger Mo,
Yes.
what would be a piece of advice you might give young Mo?
Wow. Yeah.
Go to West, go to Florida Chris.
That would have been, I think I would have taken advantage of that. But
Yeah.
if I was to the younger Mo, I really didn't have to leave South Miami if I had the right mindset and the right tools. So that's just me being at the Ridge, giving you that tool set. If, I went through a different journey in my high school stuff, and, my mom had to do a lot of help. So my mom didn't know nothing about baseball.
Yeah, my mom about football neither.
So, she was just, yes, show up to the game. I love you. And yeah, let's go. Anything positive, she was cheering. Anything negative, she was still cheering. I just would have, to the younger Mo, I would have been patient and take school more seriously, not miss that window, and still been able to enjoy high school at the same time. A lot of these kids, sometimes they get trapped, homeschooled, they get trapped in this little box. And then when they get put in the real world, it's a shock to them.
Yeah.
So I think there should be some balance, but at the same time, you should know what your end goal is.
And what's required of you to succeed. I feel like without that guidance, you don't know what's really necessary. And that's why some of those private schools,
100%.
those athletes that go to private schools, they do well when they transition, because the transition isn't that big. You get overwhelmed because you go from one school, and I'm not knocking public schools, but you go to certain public schools and then you go to college, and that jump is so big. That's why it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
And I think the numbers speak in themselves, like some private school athletes going to college.
Yeah, and no, you still get your guys that come from public school that have that dog in them, and they're just undeniable,
Right.
But I think this is information that, again, builds our community, builds who we are as people. And you could get lost in social media nowadays, just like back in the days, you could get lost with false information.
Yeah.
So
do you have any advice for middle school, high school baseball players out there that are going to be watching?
Yeah, one thing is you got to work hard, 100%. Reenact the school part of it always has to be in play for you. Just work hard. Make sure when you make a decision going to high school or college that you're making the right decision now. Make sure you're looking into the weight room. You're looking into the field. You're looking into the teacher's academic side of it. Do your homework. Check the box list first and then make your decision. Don't make a decision because you live, 10 blocks from the school, because it might not be the best decision for you.
Yep.
As much as you want to go there because you go to middle school with the guys. And
at
the end of the day, I think in life you have to selfishly do what's best for yourself. At the same time, you're still helping others, but you can't help others to the point that you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's a factor for sure for any kids going, making that decision from high school and middle school, and going back to the beginning. Make sure you get in the weight room. Make sure you work on your speed, especially the baseball guys.
Nice, bro. That's great advice, man. Well, guys, that about wraps it up for us. We finally got our first baseball episode,
Yes.
man. I'm super happy you came through. Make sure to check out Southridge, man. If you're any middle schoolers, eighth graders looking for a high school, definitely check out Mo. And also check out Mo Ball Training. All right. So stay tuned for this episode, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it, Lou.